Facebook is online.
This is Andrea Yount. We are preparing for Therapy Thursday, our weekly broadcast on mental health topics. Therapy Thursday is brought to you by Affinity Counseling Services and A Lovely Pause. This is a test.
Affinity Counseling Services is located in Piggott, Arkansas and Kennett, Missouri. We currently have 4 therapists in our office and are taking new clients. To join our waiting list, visit counselingwithaffinity.com, and to find out more, you can call me, Kindred, at 870-324-5122 or 573-840-0440. Thank you.
A Lovely Pause is a local nonprofit created to provide community education, awareness, coping skills, and support for those with PTSD and other trauma-related disorders. It is Sad September, and this month, A Lovely Pause is giving you a free depression tracker. Track your moods and patterns so you can unlock your mind from the chains of sadness. You can get yours for free by signing up at alovelypause.com or clicking our Facebook button.
I couldn't decide what accent you were going for.
I couldn't decide either. I was like in the moment.
There was a wave of them. They came.
It was nice.
It was. I
like her
enjoyed
little
it.
dramatic spills that she does. Unlock your mind from the chain of sadness with our depression tracker. There's a leg for you.
Here, we'll point your fall, y'all.
Okay, yeah.
We're fallish.
We are fallish.
Are we still testing here, or
We are.
Yeah.
can we start, please?
Introduction.
Yeah.
Therapy Thursday normalizes discussing mental health topics in a safe, supportive environment because not being normal is normal.
Welcome, everyone, to Therapy Thursday, our weekly installment here at Affinity Counseling Services, where we talk about different mental health topics from a personal and professional perspective. My name is Matthew Yount, lead therapist and president here at Affinity Counseling.
I'm Andrea Yount. I am the co-owner and vice president of Affinity Counseling Services and the chairman of the board and founder of A Lovely Pause.
I'm Stacy Diggs. I am lead marketer at Hive Minds Marketing and co-chair at A Lovely Pause.
I'm Kindred, and behind the camera, as always,
Hi, Kindred.
taking your comments, questions, and concerns. I'm the office manager for Affinity and the secretary of the board for A Lovely Pause.
All right. Well, we are in our next to last session here for coping with sadness. Is that what we're doing today?
Coping with sadness.
Yeah, so it's for Sad September.
Yes.
We got a few things to announce. We've got, we're going to be in the parade next week.
Yeah, we'll be in the Delta Fair Parade next week in Kennett at 5:30.
Okay. Anything else?
A Lovely Pause will be at the tailgate party on Friday. We're going to have walking Frito pies and a raffle box for our $200 local farm-raised meat giveaway from Garcia Meats.
Yay.
Yeah.
Cool. And, oh, yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Okay, well, you sounded like you were onto something else there, but I don't think we have
anything
anything else, honestly. Nope. All right, then. We're good.
My birthday's coming up.
Congratulations.
something else?
Yeah, we got to find a way to celebrate that.
I know
and
we were
at
just
some
trying.
point.
We were just trying to plan that.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
talk
Stacy's
later.
birthday also coming up?
Yes,
Yes.
hers is the weekend after mine.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we may just do
Libras.
them. Should we do
Everybody-
them together?
Everybody has October birthdays. That's how
Yeah.
I'm like, it's everyone.
Yeah.
There's like 4 birthdays right now.
We're
right?
actually celebrating Maddox's birthday, our youngest birthday, on my birthday this
Yeah.
year. Having his birthday party on my birthday.
Yeah. Are we going to have a snow cone trailer for that?
I don't know if we'll have a whole trailer, but I will work on
Snow
getting
cone
We will have
stuff.
snow cones.
Snow cone
Yeah.
stuff. I don't care if it's a whole trailer.
Stacy
or
will be
not.
there. She offered to bring her snow cones. That's
Right.
nice. So
Yay. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, that's something we should probably promote one day is your vending and snow cone trailer. That's actually kind of cool.
she can only do it in Missouri right now, though. So
Yeah,
Really?
legally.
No.
But we may change that
Illegal snow
in
cones.
The future. Yeah, black market of Arkansas
I think it's
snow cones.
fine as long as you're not
selling them. Yeah,
Right.
we
Yeah.
find at the
Right.
birthday party.
Oh yeah. they're
No, you just got to do it like they used to do at the speakeasies or something. You just go pay money to buy a ticket, and then you turn that ticket
Underground snow
in for a
cones.
snow cone. The speakeasy snow cones.
Actually, that's a cool name.
Yeah, it
like
is.
if I opened another wagon, that might be the next
speakeasy?
And then
Yeah.
we could spike the snow cones for the moms and dads.
Be like, shh.
Yeah, as long as kids
Just-
don't want to buy it,
Just
everything
kidding.
will be all right.
Just kidding.
We're kind of kidding.
I mean, maybe the peach ones are really good.
They
Coping with
are.
sadness.
That's one way to
Peach
cope.
snow cones.
Spike snow cones for your sadness. Yeah, well, so alcohol, no, don't recommend it for coping with sadness.
No.
So we'll get into today's topic then. Enough with our silliness. So, yeah, we always lead into like these difficult or sad topics with our silliness at the beginning.
When it's
like,
something,
hey.
I mean, when you deal with it, you have
Comedy.
to find, yeah, exactly.
Comedy goes with tragedy.
Yes.
It does.
You
Well,
have
that
to
is
find
wh-
the humor in it to deal with it, trust me.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
That is why
Laugh
those
to
are
keep
the two
from
main.
crying.
Well, so we will. We'll might as well start there. Comedy is a good way to cope with sadness. Sure.
Look at Robin Williams.
Think about
Oh
every
yeah, it really worked out well for him. I don't know if I would say
I was
that.
about to
Every-
go into more of that.
Oh, okay.
He coped with it by, and he has a quote, like, he knows what it was like to feel sad. So that's a lot of why he had that personality and why he was the person that he was. And even though, obviously comedy is not going to save your life from depression, but it is a way to cope with it.
Yeah,
a lot
sure.
of comedians are
depressed.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Isn't that a strange thing that I guess a lot of them learn to manifest humor as a coping mechanism. And humor is a fine coping mechanism if you pair it with other coping
Right.
mechanisms as well. Humor alone is not going to get you anywhere because it does teach you to make light of your current circumstance. Now, there is humor to be found in circumstances, and no one can tell you something's not funny. It's only not funny if you don't laugh at it. If people laugh at it, it's funny. So you can find humor in just about the darkest, worst things. I mean, morticians, police officers, first responders, therapists, we all have our own kind of gallows humor that comes along with things that are difficult to talk about or difficult to cope with. And those that can work well, but it doesn't work well by itself. And it only works well in certain audiences.
Right.
Because you using humor is a tricky thing. You can use it with yourself and make yourself laugh. If you know your friends will get the joke, then it's okay to use it with them. But other people, you may not get the response you're looking for, and they may actually be offended by it, which may actually increase your sadness. So you just have to kind of be careful how you use the humorous part of it, but still effective, just sparingly. But any coping skill really is not all that effective on its own.
No, it takes a lot of coping skills and a village. So,
Yes,
Indeed.
a
Yeah,
village of coping skills.
no,
Village
No.
of
village of
supports.
coping skills.
coping skills and a village.
Oh, yes.
So like you got to have your own coping skills, and then that maybe not a village full of people, but one or two people.
small
that, like,
village.
yeah, that is your support. That you can.
More
be
of a
like,
ride share.
Hold me
So-
up when you need held up.
You need an Uber
Yes.
full of people, and that's really where you got to start.
an Uber.
Yeah, as long as you get 2 or 3 good people you can ride share with, that's about how many people you need to help get through sadness. So it doesn't take a village, just a ride share.
Yeah.
I like the analogies that
Sure,
we're throwing out
they go
here.
nowhere in Piggott though, because nobody Ubers around here, and nobody knows what a ride share is.
Right. What is public
I think
transit?
people know what a ride share is.
Maybe depends on who our audience is, but it's
Elder millennials and below.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
there you go. So the idea is you need multiple coping skills. Humor is one. What are some other coping skills that you all genuinely
Crying.
use? Yeah, that is an effective one.
Absolutely, that's
Sorry, I do that a lot.
I think that's a really good one to bring up because I was talking to a friend this week who was having a hard time with that one, and I'm like, let it happen, let it out. If you're by yourself, if you're in a safe space where you feel like you can let it out, let it out. Because if you don't let it out, it's just gonna come back later when it's inconvenient for you.
I
So
used to
just
cry
let
in
it
my
out.
car all the time. I don't do it as much anymore.
That's good to know.
I was about to say,
But-
I hope that's a good thing. I hope you're
Yeah.
not just holding it in.
No, she has less reasons to cry.
Good.
I
I have
think is
less
the
reasons.
point.
Good. I am very glad that you have less reasons to cry.
Yes. So yes, but crying by itself, we'll go with that, is not an effective coping skill on its own.
No.
So we can kind of address some of the positives and negatives of each one of these things that we're talking about from a perspective of how it helps you cope. And using it in isolation, crying is one of those things. It can be cathartic. It can be a release of an emotional state. But if all you're doing is just triggering the same
Yes.
traumatic experience or sad thing, or you're ruminating,
Yes.
then all you're doing is you're crying as a reflex, and it's not a purifying thing.
You're not processing anything. You're just reacting to the memory or the flashback or the emotion that you're having.
Yeah, it's just like heartburn after eating the same bad meal over and over again.
Yeah.
It's not helping you in any way. In fact, it's just a side effect of something that's really hurting you. Rumination is one of the things that people get into really bad who have persistent sadness or even OCD. But it's just that the same thoughts rolling around in your head consistently over and over and over again. When you do things like that and you ruminate on something, your depression, especially if it's something sad, continues to get worse, because the more you ruminate on it, the more your mind starts to perceive it as being something that's present in your life and a bigger part of your life. So the more you think about something, the more it feels like it's a bigger
giant.
part. Yeah.
It becomes your giant.
Yeah, and it's something that feels like it's going to control you, or it's just present. So you can even be in moments where everyone else seems, relatively happy, but you're in a state of sadness and ruminating over it. You see people do this like in movies or in life with things like breakups. Everyone else around them is having a good time, and they're sitting over in the corner missing the person that broke up with them, thinking, why did this person break up with me? So all the fun things can be going on around them, but they're sitting there ruminating as if that thing is happening right in front
Sucking
of
all
them.
of the fun out of
Yes,
everything
it's like,
that
oh.
gets too close.
Yes. And so
Broody Batman.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up Broody Batman.
God.
Batman, Lego Batman. Okay.
I was
And,
watching Batman last night, like the newer Batman.
Yeah, what's
Sorry.
his name? What's the actor's name?
Robert Pattinson.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I was
Oh my
picturing.
gosh.
I was picturing Abed from Community instead. And it was
He
so
would be a
much
much
fun.
better
It
Batman.
was so
He
much
does-
fun.
He does a Batman impersonation, and
Yeah,
he does
sure,
such a good
yeah.
job.
Yeah.
He does. It was so much fun. Like every scene where it was a little too dark to see his face, which is a lot of them, I was like, Abed.
That did make it better. That's funny. Okay.
Now, that should happen at least once.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
if they
Oh
could.
man, they should totally make Abed be the next.
Yeah,
Batman.
yeah, absolutely.
He would be perfect.
Hey, better than any of the ones they've had recently. But
So back on track.
Sorry.
No, I did that. That was mine.
No.
my bad.
It's okay.
But okay, so the wallowing and the sadness, right? I love. Okay, so like this morning was a great example. It was like a dark and kind of moody morning, right? It's getting cooler and then sometimes I just like to like get all up in my feels in these certain times of year. Or with coping skills wise, like some of the best art I've ever made has been when my emotions were at their darkest point, which I think is something across the board for different creatives is like when you've got emotions that are like really sad or whatever, if you can find a funnel for that into those creative endeavors, it can be a really good coping outlet, but it can also be a waller, right?
Yes.
Where you're just like, you stick yourself there. And then you're that broody Batman and and everybody's like, oh my gosh, this person like all the time.
Yeah.
Like, get over it already.
no one wants to see you show up to save them anymore because you're just going to bring them down.
Yeah.
Unless you're Abed.
Exactly.
I would take that. Yes.
So, okay, basically, these coping skills, like you said a while ago, for sadness, any type of coping skill is going to be, there's going to be a balance, right? So you can get, especially if you like the beauty and the melancholy, right? I mean, a lot of us do that have this,
Artistic side, especially.
artistic
Yeah.
or melancholic side of us. We see the beauty in the melancholy. And so if you are one that gets caught up in that and can get, like Stacey was saying, you get obsessed into your painting so much that it becomes, and it's this dark feeling, and then you just get caught up in that and you just carry it around with you everywhere, then maybe you need to take a break from painting for a little bit and try something else to help get you out of that.
an uplifting thing
Yes.
to balance out with the cathartic part of it, right? So like whatever it is you're using to process, have that thing, whether it's like going to church or getting together with your friends.
Sad playlist.
Or
Stop listening to the sad
Stop,
playlist.
stop
Yes.
listening. Listen to a happy playlist.
Yes.
Make yourself dance when you don't feel like it, or
wash your face, like
Yes.
put a facial on, like, you know.
Yeah, and to,
Huge difference
to
that is.
reiterate, this is only for sadness. If you are in the depths of depression,
you need help.
You're going to probably need more help to
Yeah.
get back to a point where these things would even be
We'll,
effective.
we'll talk about the difference between sadness and depression next week. That's
Yeah.
that's what we're going over. But this
Yeah.
is just for like when you're just feeling sad or when you're starting to feel yourself going down. Because like for me, these are the types of things I do when I recognize that I'm getting into depression. So like last week, I told everybody that I could feel the depression coming on. This week, total opposite. Like I can feel it. It didn't go into the whole cycle. And like this is one of the first times that I feel like I've been able to actually recognize it and then stop it before it continues at least for a week or two.
Well, and part of that too, though, is related to you getting like, hormone therapy.
That is true. I do, and that's a huge deal too. And we've talked about that before. Is last week it was time for me to get my pellets. I go to Helix Health in Paragould to get pellets, but there's other places around that do the pellets too. They're a plant-based hormone replacement.
But
therapy.
they're awful. Go to Helix Health. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So, anyways,
I was plugging one of our people.
We're
Sorry.
he's just plugging Helix Health. They're not, the other places are awful.
They
He
are.
was just saying. Helix Health. Anyways, so it's a natural plant-based pellets, and what it does is I have Hashimoto's, which attacks my thyroid, which just regulates my hormones, which affects my mood, my mental state. So earlier this week, I went and got my pellets put in. So that also, what he's saying is a lot of that has to do with the fact that I got my pellets, which helps regulate my hormones. But they don't always completely
No.
help. And I have to stay mentally aware of where I'm at mentally, and make sure that I'm doing these things to keep myself uplifted. So, like Stacy can attest to this, I've been listening to very happy, upbeat music all week. I've been putting these things in my path, or doing these things on purpose to help with that.
Many tools in the toolbox.
Yes, many.
Yeah, so I think another thing that you were touching on earlier, Stacy, is that one of the downsides of having some of those things like art or comedy, anything that's like an artistic endeavor, as a coping skill and a primary one for sadness, is that a lot of people tap into that as the fuel for their art. And now it becomes, what will happen if I don't have this negative emotion that drives my art? So all of my art is based on sadness. If I'm not sad, how am I going to create art?
Right.
Or how am I ever going to be funny if I'm not have a sad place to come from because I'm self-deprecating and that's my humor. So it can get you in a really
I don't like
difficult.
self-deprecating humor.
I do if it's done well, but most of it's
Dryly.
not.
Yeah, I like some dryly.
Okay,
self-deprecating.
dry humor is my downfall. If you have a dry humor, I'm like, okay, I like you.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, only so much. There's some people who are just consistently just
Yeah, just
self-deprecate-
over and over
Yeah, like
and over again. Yeah.
One in every 20.
Yeah.
Okay, like
Yeah.
if you're doing it one,
Just
like,
a little salt-based sprinkle.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
overdo that.
Yeah, so a little bit is fine, but people do begin to identify with it, and especially if they find success with that, then they don't know how to let go of it. And they can also find that they fall into certain groups that want them to be in that mood state, whether that's family members or friend groups or peer groups, whatever it is, that want you to be in that state because they get something out of you being in that state. It's hard for you to want to find coping skills to get out of it.
Yeah, you kind of attract what you put out, right? So if your art or music or humor or whatever is appealing to those masses that resonate with that feeling that you're putting out there, then that's probably going to be more sad people. And and art can be very healing. This is not to negate that, but like it can also exacerbate your mental health. I keep thinking about the Van Gogh exhibit that I went to in Kansas City. and it was cool because it showed you his pieces over, and he painted like over 2,000 pieces, right? Like a
He must have
massive
had
amount.
a great amount of mania with his mental illness.
He did, and but like you can see where he started out and like the progressions, but like you can see later on as his mental health starts to decline, like how that's where we get Starry Nights and like some of those like short brush strokes that become part of those like waves that we love for Van Gogh. He didn't always have that style, but like it was his wallowing in those emotions, and like that became who he was, right? So like our art is a big part of us. It's an expression of our soul, but it's important to be able to nurture those other aspects and not just stay there. And that's the balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's this, with any like coping skill, you're gonna need that balance, because without it, you can tip too far to one side and actually stay in this sadness, in this emotional state that you don't want to be in. But whenever you have to pair coping skills with a goal. The goal has to be, I want out of this. And so here's what I'm aiming at, and here's the skills that are going to get me there. It's just like any other thing that you want to complete in life. There's something that you aim at. There's skill sets that you need, tasks that must be completed in order to get to that point. And the problem is some people don't either have the goal because they don't think it's possible, or they don't have the goal because they're not even sure they deserve to have the goal, or they don't have the goal because they've grown up this way and no one's ever told them that they should have
Or they
the
don't
goal.
even know how to even, well, like you said, well, nobody's ever told them, and they never been modeled it.
Yeah.
So they don't even understand the process of how to even get there.
Right.
And so, like, that was me. And so now I'm very aware, almost to an obsessive point, of my mental processes. And so, like, I totally lost my train of thought.
That's okay. That happens sometimes.
It does. What did you say? What were you saying? What were you talking about?
You're going to ask me what I said. I don't ever prepare what I say or remember what I say. I
Okay.
just talk.
I don't remember. Do you remember what he said? I hope y'all remember what he said, because my brain totally went boop, boop.
Yes. So this is something that comes along with trauma.
It does.
Is that your brain just all of a sudden decides, you know what? I don't work anymore.
It didn't. It's like brain fart. Go away.
No, I was talking about.
The train of thought went off.
I totally remember what I was talking about. We were talking about pairing coping skills with a goal.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't understand how to do that. So now I'll be like, okay, I can figure out where I'm at mentally, like my thoughts. So, like, are my thoughts negative? Are they negative? Yes. Okay. So if they're negative, why are they negative? Do I feel this emotional, like I need this emotional release? Do I feel like I need to process something? So if I do need that, then I'll allow like crying, some type of emotional release. If I feel like I need to process, then I will go to someone that I feel is safe to process with. But then a lot of times it's like, okay, I can tell that I'm wallowing. And if you've been there before, you can tell when you're wallowing if you pay attention. And you can tell when you're like, I just want to feel like this, when it just feels comfortable. And that is whenever you need to turn on the happy music or make yourself get out of bed. So you like have to pay attention to what your mental state is and what's happening, because you may be like in depression, both places, right? You may be in depression and needing to process and cry, or you may be in depression and you've already processed and cried, but you need to get yourself up out of it. So it depends on where you're at within that mental state.
Yeah. Another way for sadness, not so much depression, kick in your adrenaline. Go do something that actually gets your adrenaline flowing.
Yeah.
And that can honestly be something as simple as like immersing yourself in cold water, like a cold shower, or a circumstance where like you have to go out into something cold. Coldness, like it jars you back into like your senses and makes you like, okay, I'm not sad. I'm just trying to survive here right now. And actually going into survival mode makes a person restart in some of the things. It kicks the adrenaline in. It makes them feel, it gets endorphins in their system, and it actually floods you with things that make you feel more alert and alive and connected, and then you can kind of use that as like your kickstart to get certain things done. I know that there's that Wim Hof method
Yeah.
that we've used before. Yeah, where you immerse yourself in cold water and do breathing
No,
activities,
thank
and
you.
it helps. You're not sad anymore.
No, thank you.
you're freezing to death,
It
but
works
you're
for
not
me
sad.
to just splash cold water in my face and take some deep breaths.
Yeah.
But the Wim Hof method I used to could do, and I got really good at it.
Yeah.
But without the cold water.
Yeah, you never really. You did the breathing part, not the cold water immersion.
And
No
that
co-
breathing
no cold water.
method, similar to like those breathing workshops that we did at like the women's retreat,
Yes.
like the rapid breath and packing that as full as you can of air, and it does. It's
When I was
a
doing
mental
that,
reset.
it sure is, and it also like increases your lung capacity because
Yep.
whenever I was doing that for all the time, I could hold my breath. I think we timed it one time for like 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
like without even struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you can get to a point where just through breathing exercises, doing them appropriately, the ones that are just like, okay, breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, that's for like very low level anxiety, and you're just trying to get out of that state. For like sadness or high levels of anxiety, you need some really intense type of breathing techniques or yoga or things like that, because those things will help reset you, but you have to know the techniques behind them to make them work effectively. So there's plenty of information online. The Wim Hof method is a really good one. I think it's WIMHOFF. He's a nut, but
He is a nut.
But he's an awesome nut.
He is.
He's very cool, very happy nut, and very very knowledgeable. So really cool guy to check out if you want to find some really simple ways to cope with kind of restarting your system and cope with sadness.
And there's a few different breathing exercises in yoga that
Yep.
that are similar or different different styles
Yep.
that do the same thing.
So come to a yoga class.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you are needing counseling services, maybe to help with sadness or some other things that you're experiencing, we're happy to help. Reach out to us at Affinity Counseling Services, AFFINITY, on Facebook, or you can contact us at our Arkansas office at 870-324-5122 or Missouri at 573-840-0440, or sign up at counselingwithaffinity.com. All right. Well, we'll see you next week, and we'll wrap up September.
All right. Don't forget, we'll be at the tailgating party on Friday with Lovely Paws. Raffle tickets are 1 for $5 and 5 for $20.
Yep, that's at the Piggott football game.
Piggott football game down there by the Pines.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.